Alright, okay, now it's starting. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, this is Kyle Krueger with Krueger Would Have Thought, and I am here with Kartoon12?
Correct.
So, you're an artist and a video maker.
Yes, I am. I've been doing this for quite a while now, at least a good, maybe, I think we're coming up on almost 10 years now that I've been producing my webcomic and videos and everything.
Can I ask you a question? Is it easy to make videos?
Well, I guess it just depends on what it is. I mean, when it comes to my videos, I mean, like, I guess my webcomic is primarily what I do, and YouTube I just kind of did more for fun. I know way back when I started my channel, I didn't even know that I'd be making videos at first. I actually started a page more or less just to keep all my favorite videos, like, favorited together, and then somewhere along the way I just thought, hey, I'm going to start making some videos too, and for a while it was kind of just like, kind of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, but now it seems like nowadays I kind of know, like, what videos I'm kind of best at doing. But it kind of just, whatever just kind of comes to my mind, whatever ideas I get for a video, I just do it, and kind of the only real challenge is just YouTube's copyright laws and stuff. That's always kind of the hoops you got to jump through when trying to use footage and everything.
Right. One day the copyright thing will get better, I hope, but let's pray on that.
Yes, please. It's so weird that, like, I try to put up a video and either it gets taken down right away and you have to go through the process of fixing it till YouTube accepts it. Or
exactly.
I've had videos that got accepted right away and then months later suddenly it's blocked. And it's like, well, you guys liked it before, so why are you suddenly blocking it?
Exactly.
And then months later it'll get unblocked by itself, so I don't know.
So you do top 10 lists. What are your favorite top 10 lists you did?
Well, I guess most of my top 10s, I guess a lot of that actually started, I guess primarily, I'm sure everybody probably knows of WatchMojo.com. They're probably the most famous channel when it comes to doing top 10s, and one day I just started looking up, other people's lists of, like, what are some of your favorite episodes of this show, and so I just started to do them myself, and that very first one, that one I did about the top 10 Powerpuff Girls episodes, that's the one that kind of started it all, because that was like my #1 favorite cartoon growing up. And so gradually I just started getting requests from other people in the comments saying, hey, have you ever seen this show or that show? Talk about this show. So just as time went on, just whatever shows that were my favorite ones, I just started doing lists for each one of them. Although you'll kind of see the progression as it goes along. I think somewhere it was around my SpongeBob list that I changed the format a little bit, especially because that's when YouTube's copyright laws started to get more strict. So I tried to cut the length down on them a little bit.
Oh, okay.
A lot of my earlier ones, like the Powerpuff Girls, the 2 Star Trek videos I did, which I ended up having to redo over again because they got taken down. But you'll see, like, in the beginning, I used to do runners-up lists first and stuff, and I had a few people in the comments say that I guess it was kind of taking too long. They kind of just wanted to get right to the top 10s, and so it kind of made the editing process easier just to kind of get rid of that section. So nowadays, usually at the end of the video, I'll just list my runners up at the end just to kind of make it quicker. So you can see as time went on, as I started to, like, learn how to edit better, like the video quality gradually got a little better. I was gradually able to learn how to rip footage better instead of just recording off of my TV. I literally had to just sit a camera in front of my TV and just record the footage that way, but now I'm able to not do that anymore.
Oh. Yeah, no.
But yeah, probably Powerpuff Girls. That's the one that I think so far has gotten the most views. My most recent one was my top 10 favorite seasons of Pretty Cure. That was like a magical girl franchise from Japan. I recently watched like every single series last year, so I did a top 10 on that, which that turned into my longest one ever.
Wow, that's...
Yeah.
So
I actually had to split that one in half because that one clocked in at like 2 hours long, and of course YouTube took it down like the first time, so it made it easier just to split it in half.
Oh, I get it. So, so can I ask you some thoughts? Can I ask you, you did a countdown on the Adam West Batman series. I actually watched it. So, to me, the show's okay. It's not terrible, though. It's entertaining. It's just that it's way too formulaic. I think it's one of those shows where, like, it's good for its time, but it hasn't aged well. And when you compare it to other Batman TV series, like the critically acclaimed animated series or Batman the Brave and the Bold, it's just not good.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine. I mean, everybody has their different tastes, but like, for example, when I did my top 10 list of my favorite superheroes, I think Batman came in at number 7 on my list, and one thing I mentioned there was that that's what's really great about Batman's character, is that he's up for so many different interpretations over the years that sometimes you can go like Christopher Nolan's series and have it be super dark, or you, on the other end of the spectrum, you've got the Adam West show that's really light and campy and funny, and then you've got somewhere sort of like Batman animated series that's kind of in the middle, where for the most part it was serious, but you know, they did have their occasional, like, more comedic episodes, like Almost Got 'Em and stuff, where they do have their lighthearted moments, too. But that's what's kind of really great about his character, is that no matter what interpretation that we've had over the years, it's almost like each one is still valid in its own way. It's like a reflection of the time that he came from. And if you read some of the comics from way back during the time when the Adam West show was coming out, that show was pretty accurate to the comic books at the time. Like, that's just how, and I don't think they even knew they were being like campy or anything. That's just how it was written back then. That was just how you told superhero stories. But I first got really like introduced to Batman through the animated series, but I remember watching reruns of the Adam West show on like TV Land and just whatever channels were putting it in syndication, and it was nice having, like, growing up watching all these different versions of the same character, that, you know, I was perfectly fine watching both of them. Like, both of them were okay to me. There were some days where you feel like, I'm kind of in the mood for something more serious, and you'd watch the animated series, and then there'd be other days where you're, you know what, I'm not in a really good mood today. I need something to, like, lift my spirits. So then you'd go watch Adam West Batman, and that'd be more lighthearted. So it was kind of nice having, like, two very different versions that somehow you could still watch both and go, yeah, that's Batman. That still sounds like him.
Oh, that's cool. So can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you did, have you ever watched Dexter's Lab?
Oh, yes. I actually plan on doing a top 10 list for that show somewhere down the line.
So when I watched Dexter's Lab, all the seasons, especially the second one, which is, a lot of people say, the downhiller, I think the best episodes of Dexter's Lab, I think Dexter's Lab is one of those shows where it has a lot of out-of-the-format episodes, where, well, like, every show has, like, only one. SpongeBob has the Krusty Krab training video. Dexter has surprisingly a lot of episodes where it's out of the format, where it has a lot of out of the format episodes. Like I'm not talking about like the Justice League, the Justice Friends, or Dial M for Monkey. Like those are at least in the format. Yeah. I'm talking about episodes like the Ninja Paperboy episode, the Mach 5 episode. I even like the first Dad cartoon in the second run, and I do like that Pink Panther tribute one, and I also did like the Mom cartoon where like she's fighting with this other mom for gloves. I think Dexter Lab has a very good track record with out of the format episodes, because I think with the out of the format episodes, like a lot of shows are afraid to do them like for another episode, but Dexter's Lab is like totally fine. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, and it's weird how that works on that show, but in like other shows, when they try to like break out of the formula or do something weird, it doesn't always work. Yet for some reason on Dexter's Lab, I guess just because the typical like format episodes, if you want to call it that, where he's inventing something and something wacky happens with it, it's like it already gets you accustomed to the strangeness of each episode. So then when they break the format, it actually doesn't seem all that weird. It's almost like we're just getting these vignettes with these other characters. Or I think there was that one episode where he has there's like two of his robots that just like leave the lab and go off and do their own thing.
Oh, the nightclub episode. I try to
remember what the song is in that, but there's like some song they sing in that.
Right. Oh, also there was an episode where like it was a fan where like they ask a fan to tell the story of their own episode.
Yes, I remember that.
That was so cute. And
yeah. Yeah, like the kid actually went through the trouble of recording the whole thing, and they just made the episode. Like that, wouldn't that be so cool if other shows like actually like went through the trouble of doing that? Like I think that shows like how much the creators like really like loved and appreciated their fans, that they took this like fan made episode and made it into an official episode.
Right. Like also that's an out of the format episode. It's just that with Dexter's Lab, it's like I think with Dexter's Lab, it's one of those shows where it's fine to do something out of the format, because it's just saying, look, we like our format, but we want to try something different.
Yeah, it's one of those shows that somehow the weirdness just works. I guess also just because even in their like quote unquote normal episodes, most of the time the episodes don't even have like a clear wrap up to them at all. Like there's episodes where like I think the one where like Dee Dee got turned into a monster and like she's still stuck as a monster at the end.
Oh yeah, when she and Dexter are fighting.
Yeah, or the one where Dexter's trying to give himself superpowers, and at the end he's normal, but then Dee Dee gets powers, and she's like, "Crime fighting, here I come," and she busts through the wall, and that's the end. And then next episode it resets back to normal. Yeah.
Right. Also,
Courage the Cowardly. Oh yeah, Courage the Cowardly Dog does the same thing, where half the time it ends with Eustace in like dead or in some situation, and then next episode it's all back to normal. No explanation, just okay, next episode.
Oh yeah, I know. Okay, so you said in your Powerpuff Girls thing that Powerpuff Girls had a downhill era with season 5 and 6. I just want to tell you my little thoughts. Season 6 is okay. Season 5 just was not good. You can tell that, in my opinion, if Powerpuff Girls had a season 7 and 8, here's how I would have said. Season 5 is not good, season 6 is okay, and season 7 and 8 will be good. You get what I mean? Because season 5 was like a transition season, while season 6 is more like, that's when the show started to get good again, but still.
Yeah, and it's odd that they, for how mega popular that show was, that they didn't really give them much of like a finale at all. I mean, at least like Ed, Edd n Eddy got a finale and everything, but it's weird that Powerpuff never didn't. I mean, they had their movie, but the movie was actually a prequel. It was about their origin story. And then I guess 5 and 6, it was kind of odd seeing them like adapt the
The animation style.
Like, I guess they just had all these assets left over from the movie that they're like, well, we'll just save money and just use these. But it's still kind of weird watching it that you see the progression of the art style from seasons, you know, from the beginning up to like 4-ish, and then that's when the movie happened. And then 5 and 6, suddenly they go to the movie art style, and it's like, well, the movie was technically a prequel, but now all of a sudden they're using the movie like art style.
So I get what you mean. To be honestly fair, it's not the worst downhill era. I've seen way worse.
Oh yes, definitely.
Like,
I mean, it has its gems in there, but then there's other episodes where it's like,
it needs work.
like, really, you're gonna make an episode about them getting sunburns? Like, what?
It's way... Okay, so here's another... The reason I asked is because Dexter's Lab has a downhill era. Let me explain what I try... When a friend asked me saying, which one has a worse era? And here's what I say. I think Dexter's is worse. Now, granted, the second run of Dexter has the out-of-the-format episodes, which are the best episodes of that run. But the problem... In fact, you can make an argument that the best episodes of that run are the out-of-the-format episodes. But the reason why is because with Powerpuff Girls Season 5 through 6, especially Season 6, they try to at least imitate Craig McCracken's... Or they at least try to imitate the original run. No. They try to imitate the first 4 seasons.
Yeah.
But with Dexter's Lab, like, you could tell Dexter's Lab was one of those shows that was meant to just have 2 seasons, or maybe a 3rd season, but that's it. And then, like, here's the problem with here are my problems with Dexter's Lab is that the comedy in these seasons, are... Have you ever watched a slice of life comedy where, like, there's a lot of good ones, but then there's, like, that one that's, like, it's trying, but it fails? That's what Dexter's Lab is second run is. It's, like, it's slow pace. It doesn't run well. So, which one has a worse era? Do you think Dexter's second run was way worse than Powerpuff Girls 5 and 6, Season 5 and 6?
I'm not sure. Hard for me to say, mainly because I just haven't watched those seasons in such a long time. I'd have to go back and, like, rewatch it again just to really know. I guess just from what I can remember, they're almost on equal ground. I guess part of it is just because, you know, after those first couple seasons, you know, each of those creators, Genny Tartakovsky and Craig McCracken, they both went on to make other shows afterwards. Like, so I think you can kind of tell where the switchover started to happen, where I guess the original creators started to kind of clock out a bit because now they were moving on to their next show. Like, I think around, like, the second run of Dexter, that's when Genny was starting to work on Samurai Jack, and then in the same thing with Craig McCracken. I think primarily after the movie, he had basically moved on to Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and even in, like, the opening credits, when they show the title of the episode, you can see that those first couple seasons, almost everything was headlined, like, written by or directed by Craig McCracken, and then, but then as time goes on, you start to see his name less and less, like he handed it over to, you know, the rest of the crew, because he was off doing another show. Right.
But if you're going to do a top 10 list of Dexter's Lab, like, I'm just going to say this, the second run's best episodes are the out-of-the-format episodes, because, like, the rest of the episode, it feels like, that's what I'm just going to say. Like, the best episodes of the second run are the out-of-the-format episodes.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember I can't remember exactly, like, what I wrote down. I have all my lists, like, future lists written down somewhere. I just have to, like, go back and read it. But I know probably most of them are primarily going to be out of the earlier seasons.
Season 1 and 2.
Most of the episodes, they have, like, 2 or 3 cartoons a piece, but I'm not counting them as, like, the full half hour. I'm just counting, like, each segment. So I guess when I say episode, it's actually going to be just, like, that one 11-minute short. Like, maybe the A cartoon is on there, but not the B cartoon.
Oh, I get what you mean.
So it's going to be like that, which it was the same with the Powerpuff Girls one, too. I just went by each individual little episode and not like that full half hour.
Exactly.
Unless it was an actual half hour episode.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Also, can I ask you a question? Like, what's your comic about? You made an OC comic.
Oh, so yeah, my webcomic, Jamie Jupiter, that actually, weirdly enough, that started way back when, way back on DeviantArt. I had started my own science fiction club called the Sci-Fi Society, and a lot of other clubs on DeviantArt had, when they were making like their little like avatars or banners for the group, sometimes a lot of the groups on there will make their own like mascots. So I thought that, okay, I'll try and make like a mascot for our group. And so inevitably, after some ideas, I just drew this kind of like, almost like something out of the Jetsons, like this space, like almost like something like sci-fi, but as it was depicted in the 50s, like here's what it's going to look like in the future, like this outer space looking girl. And she had her design and a name, and that was it. And very long story short, the mascot idea kind of fell through. We ended up not going with that. And so for the longest time, I just kind of had this doodle of her just kind of sitting in a file. So then a year or so later, when I started developing the idea for this comic about an alien on Earth, I remembered that drawing again, and I was like, maybe I can use this. And so little by little, that's how the idea got developed, but it actually all started with that drawing of her. That's where I got the design from. And it went through a couple iterations. There was one iteration where Jamie was just like the disguise, but she wasn't like her own character. It was more like a traditional superhero thing. And then there was going to be another version where she and this other character were like sharing a body, almost like there's this anime called Birdie the Mighty that is kind of like that. But then inevitably it turned into what it is now, which she's this alien who's part of this like space police force, and she's chasing a villain who comes to Earth. And while she's trying to find this villain, 2 high school students find out who she really is. And so now the series is just about their different adventures, trying to stop different aliens from like either taking over the Earth or just making things a bad time for people on Earth. But it's kind of just the 3 of them for now, but we're now into, I guess, what I would call season 2, like the second story arc, where we're finally getting some more
Chapter 2
new characters in. Yeah, and we're finally starting to learn more about the Galactic Squadron, which is the space force that she's a part of, which is sort of like the Green Lantern Corps, but I think most of it is primarily based off of the Federation from Star Trek. There's like a whole bunch of like Star Trek influences throughout, since I just love that franchise so much.
That's really nice. Like I like developing my own OCs. I have a request for you for a top 10 list, but it's not of episodes.
Okay, what is it?
Top 10 goth girl characters.
Top 10 goth girl characters.
There's a lot of good goth girl characters in media, to be honest.
Yeah, just in like TV or also in movies, books? Are we just like encompassing everything?
Animated. I was thinking more animated, sorry.
More animated, huh? Well, I have to really like spend time to think about it, but if I'm just going off the top of my head, I know Sam from Danny Phantom would probably be on there. She's really cool.
Raven?
There's also, yes, Raven. Definitely got to include Raven from the Teen Titans. We also got Creepy from this cartoon called Growing Up.
I love that
Creepy.
cartoon.
Yeah, that's one of those cartoons that there's some
It's from
cartoons that
Canada.
like never got a DVD release. I wish they would.
It's from
But
Canada.
all the episodes are on YouTube, so at least we can watch it that way.
It's from Canada.
Yeah. I recently discovered this cartoon called Ruby Gloom. She'd probably be on there too. I think that's another like Canadian show, but I know all the episodes are on YouTube. If anyone out there ever wants to watch it, but that's a really cool show. It's basically like the goth version of Winnie the Pooh. It's like really cute and like innocent and sweet, but it's like all like, I think the main girl in it is normal, but everyone else is like monsters. There's like a two-headed guy, a skeleton, a cyclops. It's really cute. I know she'd probably be on there.
Have you ever watched Jennifer Lee? There's a character named Ophelia.
Yes. I haven't watched that cartoon in a long time.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good. I'm just saying, like, when you watch the show, you're going to love Ophelia because she's awesome, and Candy Milo, that's the voice actress that did Dexter in the later seasons. She does a very good job. So just saying that's just an idea of who should be on the list, but it's your list, so you can.
Yeah, I almost forgot about Jennifer Lee. Yeah, I remember that first episode where she's going to the birthday party. I think she calls up Ophelia to tell them like, okay, what did you get for? I forget her other friend's name. Like
Jody.
Yeah. What did you get for her birthday party? And it's like, you didn't get her another skull again, did you? No. And you see she has it, and she takes the bow off and puts it on a CD case. Oh, look, I made her a mix. Bye. And takes off.
I love Ophelia. She's basically I just oh god. I like goth girl characters. I'm into goth girl. Sorry, I have my taste. Also, can I ask you a question about so in my later years as a person, I realized that just because someone doesn't take criticism doesn't make them a bad person. Have you ever realized that not that a lot of people do get hate for not taking criticism, and some people blow it over proportions?
Yeah, that's the thing with criticism. Like, I even on my videos and occasionally on my comics, you always get that one person who is like, I don't like this stinks or whatever, and it's like, well, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I mean,
but
especially...
Sorry.
Yeah.
But
no, you're okay, go ahead.
But then you get like that one person like that, don't judge someone because they make a horrible media. Judge them as a person, because by far we have seen people that are like, that make good art, but they suck as people nowadays. You get what I mean? So.
Oh yes, there's a few creators we could talk about.
I don't want to do that because I don't want to make the video, because I don't want to make things like that.
Oh yeah.
So here's why: because I'm going to do a review series. I was going to do a review of Teen Titans Go, and here's the thing. Here's my opinion. I think Teen Titans Go is bad, but it's not the worst thing ever. I think everybody blows out of proportion. Here's what I think. The show is bad, but have you ever had that show that's like, it's bad, but it does at least try? There is a good show trying to come out of it. There is something good. It's just either it was not executed well. That's what Teen Titans Go to me is. It's kind of like Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, where it's bad, but it does at least try to be a good show. It's just the execution just sucks, and here's why. Because it's like, because a lot of people, when Teen Titans Go was criticized, a lot of people thought Michael and Aaron, the creators of Teen Titans Go, did not care about the original show, and you get what I mean, and it also led to episodes where the creators are not making fun of the fans, but rather defending themselves, and it led to a bunch of people thinking, oh, they're bad people, oh, they suck as people, and I was like, okay, yes, Michael and Aaron don't take criticism, but are they bad people? Because there's no reports, there's no behind the scenes issues with Teen Titans Go. You get what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, as a creator, when you're making, especially, like, original content and everything, is that, there's that old saying of, you can't please everybody. Now, you know, and the thing with trying to like filter through any criticism you might get, a lot of times you have to think of like, you know, you analyze what this person said, and it's like, it's kind of up to you to determine, okay, is this person actually like giving me constructive criticism to try to help me make my story or whatever it is better? Or are they doing this just to get a rise out of me, like troll comments, basically? Like, is this a troll, or is this somebody actually, like, trying to help me? And you just kind of have some criticism you just kind of have to take with a grain of salt. I think someone who is, like, commenting, saying, like, well, I can see what you're trying to do here, and here's what you could maybe do to make this better or make your idea, like, come out better. That's something that you could probably, you know, listen to more than somebody who just says, this sucks. And they don't tell you anything, though. They don't say anything else. And it's like, are they doing this just to make fun of you, or are they actually, like, trying to help you? And it can be a tricky thing trying to determine what's what. And
right, exactly.
Yeah, but still, in the end, it's like, you almost have to go, okay, well, this is still like the story I want to tell, and, you know, not everybody's going to like it, and that's okay. Like, a lot of times people will tell you, you kind of just have to write for yourself first.
Exactly.
And hopefully there'll be other people similar-minded to you who they'll just also like it, too.
Right. It's just the reason why is that I used to do podcasts. I did like, when I talked about Teen Titans Go, there was only 2 episodes. I regret these episodes because I was still in that mindset of, oh, it's Teen Titans Go is the worst thing ever. It is not. But here's why. It's just, if you're going to pull they're bad people card, you need evidence. You need stories. And Michael and Aaron, they don't take criticism, but I don't. Have you seen reports of Michael and Aaron getting into any trouble, any backstage issues? And I was like, no. I think it was more of they're just making a show based off a beloved classic, and because the show is different, and because it's not executed well, it just got a lot of backlash. A lot of it is not deserved. Some is deserved, but not a lot. You get what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, especially in the onset of like social media now and stuff, most of these people have like a Facebook or a Twitter handle that, you know, you can directly contact the creators and tell them, like,
exactly.
You know, especially if you find something in a piece of media that you think would be considered like problematic or
anger-inducing,
racist or something like that. You can at least go to the creator and say, hey, do you realize that you may be implying something really bad here? And then it kind of just all depends on how they react to it. Like, do they, you know, did this person do something out of malice, or did they just make an honest mistake, like they were intending something else but didn't realize what implications they were making, and they say, like, okay, well, from now on, I'll know better and I can fix it. Like, you know, you just have to talk to people and just, you know, kind of gauge, you know, what kind of person they are and stuff. I guess really the only real problem in specifically talking about Teen Titans Go, since we're on the subject, is maybe not even necessarily the show itself, but I think really the only thing that really annoyed me is just the fact of the scheduling. It seemed like they kind of had the same problem that Nickelodeon had with just playing SpongeBob constantly.
Oh,
like, I like SpongeBob, but it's like, guys, you have Fairly Odd Parents and Rugrats and Danny Phantom and, like, all these other shows that you're basically, like, neglecting now. And the same thing happened with Cartoon Network, where once Teen Titans Go got some semblance of popularity, that's all they were doing was just playing Teen Titans Go, like, all day. And occasionally they throw in a Steven Universe or something. But then the rest of the day was Teen Titans Go. And then you wonder why all these other shows are getting canceled. And it's not even necessarily because they were bad shows. You just didn't give them a chance at all because you're smothering them with just one show. At least in the earlier days of Cartoon Network, that lineup, it's like no wonder all those cartoons like Dexter, Powerpuff, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Juniper Lee, Camp Lazlo.
Right.
Like, they had all these different shows that had all such, like, variety to them and variety of art styles and stuff. And they all got equal play time. But, like, nowadays, it's like they're just filling up the schedule with anything. And I think a lot of the networks and stuff, it's like nowadays they're just looking for the next SpongeBob. It's like they're not giving any of these other shows a chance.
Right.
Thinking like, and not just animation, a lot of times in these live action shows too, it's like they only give them one season, and if they're not immediately mega popular within like 2 episodes, they're already canceling it. And it's like, well, you know, you're developing your story and your characters, and you need time to build an audience. You can't just expect this thing to be an instant, like, lightning in a bottle success like some of these other shows.
Right,
which
exactly.
A lot of it came down to just pure luck, too.
Right. It's just the reason I ask is because we're both artists, and I just feel like I just want people to know that, look, taking criticism is a good thing, but not everybody's going to take it, and just because someone doesn't take it doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means they have a social skill that they need to develop or learn or...
Yeah. And the other thing is just when you're the consumer, when you're watching these different shows or reading a book or a movie or whatever it is, when it comes time to, like, especially if you're one who, like, has, like, a series where you're saying or just writing down, like, your reviews of that book or movie or whatever it is, there's a point where you have to ask yourself, especially when it's something that you didn't care for, you have to ask yourself, okay, did I not like this thing because I'm finding legitimate flaws in it? Or do I just not like it because this isn't for me? Like,
or another one is maybe I don't like it because it's different and I just like the original or first product.
Exactly, especially when you're in a franchise that's getting rebooted a couple times, like Ninja Turtles or Star Trek or whatever it is. Like, you know, if you don't like that version, then, you know, that's fine, but it's not like it ruined your childhood or anything. It's not like it's ruining the other show. The old show is still there for you to watch. Like, you know, just if other people are enjoying it, don't ruin their fun at all. Just go back and watch the show that you liked then.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what movie it was, but back when Siskel and Ebert were the really big movie reviewers back in the day,
yeah.
I think it was Roger Ebert who said, I wish I could remember what movie it was. I think it was like some type of horror movie. And when he did the review, right up front, he said, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm giving this movie a thumbs down, but he did recognize, like, the good effects and acting in it and everything. Like, he appreciated that. But he specifically said, if you're into the horror genre, then you'll probably like this movie. I'm just giving it a thumbs down mainly because it's not for me. Like, he actually said, like, I don't think I'm the right person to be reviewing this because this isn't a genre I'm into. So it'd be like the same for me.
With Teen Titans Go or a show you don't like.
Yeah, or actually a couple years back, there's that movie called The Secret of Kells.
That's a good movie.
So many people were
in love with that movie.
You know, singing praises about that movie, and so I finally sat down and watched it, and it was okay. I mean, it was really, like, beautifully animated, and I did, like, enjoy it for the most part, but even later, when I went on Amazon and typed up a review of it, I even kind of said, like, the same thing that Roger Ebert said when I said, I don't know if I'm the exact right person to be reviewing this, because I know that this is based off of a lot of, like, Irish folklore and stuff that I'm not familiar with. it makes me want to check out some of these other stories. And so, like, I just kind of gave it, like, a it's okay review. Like, I don't know if I'll watch it again, but for what it was, I enjoyed it. If I was, like, lived in Ireland or knew these other stories, then I probably would have really, really, like, loved it or whatever, but...
Yeah, I understand.
That's the thing. I didn't find any actual fault with it. It was just kind of like, movie for me, only because, like, they were probably just making a lot of references in it that I didn't quite get. So that's like an example of, I don't really care for this, but not because it's technically bad, it's just not for me.
Exactly. You nailed it on the head. To me, also, because I think Teen Titans Go is bad, but it does make me respect Michael and Aaron a little more. Here's why, because, yeah, Michael and Aaron, here's what I'm gonna say. I respect them more as people because I'm separating their art. Plus, Michael and Aaron have done other works that are good. It's just, Teen Titans Go is not their best work. When you look at their resume, it's like every other work, especially with the Teen Titans movie series, which, by the way, Teen Titans Go actually is a way better movie series than a TV series. But anyways, when you see it, like, you realize that, okay, it's not the worst. It's just not their best work. They could do better, but that's really what I wanted to say, because I don't like when people judge people because of their art. You gotta judge them by how they act and how they say, or you get what I mean.
Yeah. And writers, too, like, you know, everybody has their, like, ups and downs there, where even on a show like, you know, Star Trek or Samurai Jack or just anything, really, even when it's one primary, like, director or writer working on it, that's kind of the interesting thing, is that no matter what show it is, no matter what genre, there's always going to be that one episode that's like the crap episode that, like, nobody likes, and it's always for different reasons. Like, nobody in their right mind sets out to make a bad episode of something. It's just like, well, maybe the actor was sick that day, or this writer didn't show up, or maybe some effect that they were trying to do didn't come out too great or whatever. But especially like with writing, you always, you know, every writer goes through there's always that one piece they did that maybe just wasn't as up to snuff as some of their other works.
Oh, okay. So, do you have a favorite voice actor?
Favorite voice actor?
Or actress?
I don't know, hard to say. That I'd have to think of, because there's just so many. I mean, I guess maybe Tom Kenny. That's like the first person that I think of, just for how much range he has and just how many voices that he's done in cartoons, period. A lot of times I almost like to call him like the Mel Blanc of the modern era. Like, Mel Blanc was just, he did like almost all the voices for like all the Looney Tunes primarily. So Tom Kenny has just done so much. Like, I mean, of course nowadays SpongeBob is practically his like 24/7 job, but like he did so much other stuff.
Right.
In other shows.
So want to know a fun fact about a voice actor?
Okay.
Have you heard of Scott Menville, the voice of Robin from Teen Titans?
Yes.
Well, actually, Scott Menville here's 3 facts. 1, Scott Menville is the son of a legendary animated writer, Chuck Menville. He wrote for the Star Trek animated series, the 70s one, which is very good, but the animation sucks, so it's like, it's one of those shows where, like, the writing is on point, the animation sucks.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Also, Scott Menville when he was a child actor, started off doing voice acting when he was a child actor.
Nice.
He was the voice of Red Herring in A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, and also voiced Fred Flintstone in the Flintstones Kids.
Oh, I just had some flashbacks now. I haven't seen those 2 shows in so long, but I remember that.
Like, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo holds up very well.
Yes. Yeah, Pup Named Scooby-Doo I've watched a lot more than, like, the Tom and Jerry kids and stuff like that. Some of those shows were, like, one of those shows where...
It's a fad.
Yeah, or it's just, like, you're watching it just because, like, there's nothing else on, or, like, the theme song was great, but then after the theme song, you're just like, all right, what else is on? And then you turn it off. But Pup Named Scooby-Doo, that I would make time for. I did like that cartoon.
Right, but you get... So yeah, Scott Menville's been doing voice acting since he was a kid.
Wow.
I wanted to ask Scott Menville... Like, it's like, so he's been doing this for, like, most of his life, and it's like, that's impressive, like, so another question I want to ask, what do you think what's your favorite color?
Favorite color? I don't know if I really have a favorite at all. I mean, I guess if I had to say for the long time it was red, but, I don't know, I guess just from just drawing so much and just really getting into art over the years that I don't know if I even really have a favorite anymore. It's like every color can look beautiful when it's like used right, in in the right setting. Like any color can just look pretty.
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever watched the DuckTales reboot? That's like, you know why? Because it's the critically praised reboot.
That I actually haven't. That was actually, here's the thing with DuckTales, even like the original DuckTales, I've heard of it, but I actually never saw it, and that's only because, when I was growing up, the primary, channel that I had, well, for the longest time, it was really just Nickelodeon, and then eventually Cartoon Network started, and then I just kind of became like almost nothing but primarily a Cartoon Network fan after that. But for the longest time on our, I'm trying to remember who we had before Comcast, whatever cable company it was before Comcast took over.
Oh.
Growing up in the 90s and stuff, the cable network that we had, for the longest time, our family, we didn't get Disney Channel at all. Disney Channel, I think, was channel 40, and if you tried to change to that channel, you just got static. Like, it's not even like nowadays on digital thing where it just says this channel is not available to you. It's like you might be able to see Mickey Mouse in between the haze of, like, fuzz or whatever, but yeah, we didn't get that channel. So most of my Disney stuff, I was watching on VHS tapes that you could buy that had all of the different cartoons. Like, here's a tape that has just Mickey on it. Here's just Donald Duck. Here's just Goofy. So a lot of the old cartoons, that's the only way I could watch them. And then, of course, we had all the Disney movies like Aladdin and... they re-released all the old ones like Cinderella and stuff in those clamshell boxes, those white clamshell boxes that you had to open up and pull the tape out and stuff. Like, I had those for forever. But by the time that that our cable provider finally did get Disney Channel, it was in the era of, like, Lilo and Stitch, The Proud Family, Kim Possible.
Oh, I get what you mean.
So, like, that was, like, my era of Disney. So I had missed, like, I had always heard about, like, DuckTales and Gargoyles and stuff.
But you never got to watch them.
Early Disney afternoon, I didn't grow up with that because I didn't get that channel. So it wasn't until, like, just recently that, I think it was just, like, maybe a year or so ago, that somebody had uploaded all of the Gargoyles episodes on YouTube, so I watched those. So I was able to watch it that way. So I finally saw Gargoyles, at least, and that show was just amazing. But yeah, other than that, like, a lot of the early Disney afternoon, like, Tailspin, DuckTales.
No, you didn't watch.
Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the Gummy Bears, like, I never saw them at all.
Oh, well, I just wanted to tell you the DuckTales reboot is arguably, I think, is the greatest reboot of an animated series ever, and it's just like, reboots don't have the best reputation, so I'm just glad.
Yeah, again, I'll just have to make the time for it, and at some point, I got a whole list like this long of like shows and movies that people talked about that I just never saw that I'm finally making the time for. So I guess I'll just have to add that to the list. What? Which, speaking of reboots, since we were talking about Powerpuff earlier, did not care for the 2016 reboot at all.
It's worse than Teen Titans Go, in my opinion.
Yes. However, one that kind of had a bad reputation, but I think has actually been getting better reviews now, is the Powerpuff Girls Z anime.
Yes, that sorry. I'm sorry. It's just that reboot. Okay, it's more of a reimagining, but that reboot is way better because yes, it's the reason why Powerpuff Girls Z is better than the reboot is because it feels like, here's what I mean. Powerpuff Girls Z, yes, it's different, but but at least it's executed well. The reboot just sucks. It's like, you could tell that it's one of those Cartoon Network projects where they're trying to do something different and it fails so miserably. And yeah, but so what do you think? So do you like Powerpuff Girls Z?
I did, when I finally did manage to track it down and watch it, which that's the thing with anime, is that a lot of it, you just kind of have to really search around the web to find places that have, like, the subtitles up of it.
The dub of Powerpuff Girls Z is okay. At least they got Scott McNeil in the dub.
Yeah. Although I never actually watched the dub of it at all.
Oh, I get what you mean.
Weirdly enough, never came to America. I just watched the Japanese with the English subtitles on it. But I actually ended up liking it probably because I could recognize that this wasn't supposed to be the same show. It is like a Sailor Moonish reimagining of it. But it still worked because I think the creators of that show had a respect for the old show. And much like the old show was like a parody of different superheroes and stuff, the anime is basically doing the same format. It's just, in their case, the parodies that they're doing is of different animes and different like different magical girl shows and stuff. Especially later on in the anime when they get the Dynamo robot.
Yeah.
It actually almost works better on that show because it's Japanese, because it's from Japan.
And it's
like,
an anime.
That's where all that giant robot mecha stuff like originated from. So it's almost like, in that sense, like the concept of the girls having a fighting robot actually makes more sense in the anime than it does in the American version at all. But I was able to recognize that they are basically doing the same like types of jokes. It's just like some of the jokes, it's just like the culture's just a little different, but it's still in that same vein of like doing parodies and homages to different superhero genres there. Only in the anime's case, it was like the magical girl and mecha Power Ranger genre versus like Western American like media over here.
Right. I love Powerpuff Girls Z. I love Poochie, the dog.
Oh yes.
He's the dog from the original show, but just cute.
Yeah, he's like the talking dog and the hotline together.
Yeah. Also, who's your favorite character in Powerpuff Girls Z? Like,
hard to say. I mean, of course I like the actual girls themselves. It's kind of an interesting, different dynamic having them not be sisters.
But best friends.
Yeah, they're just best friends, but they almost become like sisters
by
the end. And they were actually able to like give a little bit more background to some of the villains, because that's the one thing, is that in the original show, these villains were already established. It was very rare that they ever actually gave an origin story to some of the villains, but at least in the anime, they actually gave, like, Sedusa a compelling backstory that, like, she's this normal lady who basically has this, like, Jekyll and Hyde syndrome where she changes into Sedusa and she doesn't even know what's happening to her. And then they did the whole backstory with him. and like where he came from and stuff. And so that was like one thing I appreciated on the anime, was that they actually tried to give some backstory to some of the other villains. And then of course, like, I do like the professor's son, Ken. I thought that was interesting that they gave him a kid, and his mom, I think, is an astronaut or something.
Yeah, exactly. But I also, you know what's my favorite? You want to know one of my favorite parts about Powerpuff Girls Z is that it's like it's at least trying to be its own version. And there's effort. The effort is there. Like with the reboot, it's like there's none. I can't. There's a joke in JonTron where like he just walks, where he just says, "No, I'm not doing this." If you ever watch JonTron, but here's this, like he just says, "No, I'm not doing this. I'm not reviewing this." And like I was like if I were to review this, like it's gonna be like it's. Here's the thing about Teen Titans Go. It tries. It fails, but it tries.
Yeah.
Power Girls 2016. It fails and fails and fails and fails, and there's not even a redemption. You get what I mean? It's like you're in this desert.
Yeah, like part of it, I think, also is just that on the old show, the humor was able to appeal, like, it kind of had more of a timeless appeal, that it could appeal to anybody, whereas it seems like in the reboot,
it's trying to be trendy.
They're just using more like internet humor, like different jokes that are not going to age well. Like literally within a year or so, this joke isn't going to be funny anymore because everybody's moved on to the next like internet meme or whatever it is. Like that kind of humor just like doesn't really work on it. It's like you kind of almost have to make something that's timeless, that like, you know, that everybody's going to, it's going to appeal more to a wider range. Like it's probably why like Batman animated series worked, because they made it this timeless thing where like it's almost, you almost think it's in the 40s, but then people have computers, like they kind of mixed up the technologies in that show, so like you're never quite sure what time period it's taking place in.
Yeah, sorry, I'm crumbling paper.
No, you're okay.
So yeah, that's cool. And to be honestly fair, like you should do a top 10 list of Powerpuff Girls Z episodes. That would be interesting.
If I can get the footage, I might.
Hey, you have the right to do what you want. You know why? Yeah. Because everybody is free. Not everyone.
Yeah, I'd probably have to go back and like, it's just because it's been a while, I'd probably have to go back and rewatch some of the show again just to try and remember some of the episodes on there. That's almost kind of the same thing with when I did my 2 Star Trek top 10 lists. I have seen like the whole franchise like at some point in my life, but it's just been so long that like I'd have to go back and like almost like rewatch those other series again, like Deep Space Nine and Voyager and stuff, just so I can make like a proper review. And it's almost just like a time issue. I just have to like try and make the time, but at this point I'm just moving on to like newer shows or shows that I just haven't just like hadn't seen at all. Like one of my friends got me a box set of the 1980s Twilight Zone. I want to watch that at some point this year, and I know I'll probably do a top 10 of that when I finish that series. X-Files is another one I want to watch, which even though I did grow up with that in the 90s, like just the timing of it is like I was like a wee little kid when it came out, so you know, I didn't really tune into it all that much just because, like, that was a show for adults. It was something that's, like, it's either was too scary for me or you know, half the plot's going to go over my head because, like, I doubt, like, a 6-year-old is going to understand what's going on here. So that's kind of a show that nowadays now as an adult, I'll be able to go back and actually, like, understand it and appreciate it and stuff. Cowboy Bebop was the same way too. It was only like maybe like 2 years ago that I finally like watched it, mainly because that show was on like so late at night that by then I'd be in bed, like because I got to go to school the next day. But even then, when I finally did watch it, I was almost kind of glad that I didn't see it till I was an adult, because I guarantee you, like, 10-year-old me probably would not have understood that show, like, at all.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten all of, like, the little details and nuance in it and stuff. So there's certain things that you almost have to kind of, like, revisit, or maybe if you didn't like it when you were a kid, maybe try it again and you'll actually like appreciate it more as an adult, just because there were certain things that little kid you wouldn't have understood, but now you do.
Right. So I just wanted to say thank you for being on my show, and this was can you give me a shout out in one of your videos? No, I shouldn't ask that. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're okay. I will.
Videos in your shout out, because also I was thinking if you do that top 10 goth girl thing, you know, it'd be funny if you did it on Valentine's Day. That would've been funny, like my gothic Valentine.
Oh yes. Yeah, I'll have to see. I got at least a few more in the pipeline. I know I want to do Dexter's Lab. I know I want to do the Justice League cartoon. Probably 80s Twilight Zone once I finish that show. Probably just whatever new show that I get done. If I'm able to, I'll probably do top 10s of.
Right.
And I know my more recent series I've been doing was like my reaction videos to like old shows and cartoons and whatnot, and that seems to have been like kind of popular and picking up a bit. So.
Exactly. Sorry about that. The request. It's just I love goth girls. I love goth girl characters. They're awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to put it on my to-do list.
All right. Well, I hope you have a good day.
All right, you too. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.